Welcome to a high-level view of MobileCaddy. This is a view of the architecture of how MobileCaddy works with the Salesforce platform to allow us to rapidly build mission-critical, business-critical, fully offline, robust mobile applications. To understand MobileCaddy and how it fits with the platform, the devices and our developers, we start really with the Salesforce platform. And we understand that the MobileCaddy application will be installed via the App Exchange into the Salesforce platform. And we want to use all of our platform data, our users, our configuration data, and we then want to start to actually work out how we're going to deploy these applications. So first we need to start to build them up. The first job is through data mobilization. Again, within the platform, we would pick an S object through a standard point-and-click UI, and we would pick the fields that we want to mobilize. We also pick the type of synchronization that we would like and the conflict resolutions for potential conflicts, as well as a few other behaviors. Finally, we want to be able to have an application package that we can deploy to our end devices. And alongside that package, we also want to define the cache configuration to make sure that not only does the data reside offline, but also our logic and our assets. This is all wrapped up into a app provisioning record, which we can think of as a dynamic version. And that allows us to have multiple versions of our application as we move through the life cycle. This is served to each individual user device through a user device provisioning record, which is auto-created as our users connect into the platform, which we'll see in a second. Finally, we have a monitoring piece that sits across the top and monitors everything through from how the users at first interact with us to the data that they push and pull from the platform, along with things like metrics, analytics, and feedback. At this point, we can have a look at how the users in the field will actually interact with our application. And so for that we have device apps. These are hybrid applications that are available both on the Android and the iOS stores. And once installed, the user will OAuth in using standard OAuth technologies from Salesforce. And the first job is to pull in the hybrid part of the application, this being the app version. And then once that's all installed, pull in the application data from our data mobilization synchronization piece. Before we get to this step, it would be very handy to be able to see what the users are going to see before we deploy, and so for that MobileCaddy has a platform emulator. This is a browser-based emulator and is exactly the same as the device apps, except we don't need to OAuth in. So when we run that up, we'll pull in the particular version of the app we're running and then synchronize the data. That allows us to see not just how the data is working, but also how the UI looks in various viewports. Before we start all this process to get to the device application running in the field, we need to actually build the application. So to do that, we have our CodeFlow local development environment, which allows our developer to work in standard web technologies, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, most likely using a front-end framework, something like Ionic. And they, again, OAuth into the platform. And this allows them, once they're building that package, to push and pull that to create this application package within our versioning. We also want to be able to let our developers see exactly what they're building as they build. And so we have a sister emulator called the CodeFlow emulator, which again is a browser-based emulator and lets us use all the latest and greatest browser-based development tools. This again OAuths into the platform, and again works in exactly the same way as our device app or our platform emulator. So from a developer's perspective, we're seeing a very, very close match between what the final user will see to what they're developing. And as they develop through that application package, there's a single button click within the package that they're actually building that allows them to deploy the application package up to the platform, ready to be consumed by the device application once the user logs in. So quite a lot to cover, but the main thing is this fits into the life cycle, allowing us to build and version applications, test both locally with the developer and on the platform, and then finally deploy to the device apps, which are our user device provisioning records, into the actual field. In this instance, we'd be working in a Salesforce sandbox or developer environment, and then eventually we would want to be moving to production, in which case MobileCaddy is installed in the production org, and we have a simple deployment process which pulls together all the components in the Salesforce platform that we require, and then allows you to push those via change set into production, and then target that new application or version of application to specific users for field testing prior to general release. If there's any questions, we've got some contact details at the end. Please feel free to give us a shout. Thanks for listening.